Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 638. I almost dropped my water everywhere. For the week of Monday, June 30th, 2025. Hopefully I'm sounding a little bit better this week. Thanks, Windows 11. Who's with me? Oh, hi, I'm Ryan Higgins. Hi, who else is here this week?
Brock Sager.
Kevin.
Toby.
Lane.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hello.
Everyone coming in good? All right.
Coming in hot.
Yeah. Well, I upgraded to Windows 11 in the last recording. Sounded pretty terrible. Sorry, everyone. You'd think after 638 of these, 7 of these, I know how to do a podcast.
No, it's not your fault. It's Windows 11.
Yeah, we'll say that.
Windows 11, fucks everything. Trust me. No.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It would just reset my settings. I didn't realize it. I was like coming through like the webcam mic or something like that. Like it sounded terrible. I tried to fix it in post, but that only does so much. So my dog barking outside. Hey, stop barking. Hey, well, we missed 2 weeks ago. I was on a little break, and then I was up at a terrible Red Sox weekend. So, I was recovering from trading Rafael Devers to the San Francisco Giants, but everything seems fine now. So sorry for missing last week, but we are back.
Yeah, Ryan just got out of jail, right?
Talk to Giants fans about how all this is going. I think it's okay from a Red Sox perspective, funny enough. We got way too much stuff to talk about this week. So we'll just jump into it. And of course, the biggest news of the last couple weeks broke mere hours before starting this podcast. So sorry if my normal reporting skills are not up to par.
Well, never mind your reporting skills. Our normal schedule, that should have happened tomorrow. This news.
What's that?
The news that you're talking about should have happened tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. The normal week, this would have happened tomorrow.
Yeah. It's like they're rude about it or something.
Yeah. Always get that podcast break. But unfortunately, I have to report Jim Shooter, longtime editor-in-chief for Marvel Comics, Valiant Comics, worked, obviously for Legion of Superhero fans like myself and other people, a lot of customers at the shop. Passed away at the age of 73 from cancer. Been not doing great for a while. Mark Waid had broke the news, had a big post about it on Facebook. As we've I feel like every one of these podcasts has started with us losing someone in comics, and we are now rapidly approaching big creators from the 80s and 90s, which is, I think for all of us on this podcast, kind of our heyday of getting into comics. So, we've lost a lot of big creators that kind of defined our generation of early comic readers.
Yeah.
And Jim Shooter's, responsible for a lot of Marvel's success in the 80s, despite pretty significant frustration and blowback from creators. I remember if you're a younger comic book fan, and Brock, that would be the sniffing that's too loud. So
Sorry.
My mic was off and your sniffing's too loud. So mute yourself.
Sorry.
It's allergy season, man. I know it's killing everyone. I remember when Dan Didio, kind of in the later years when he got let go from DC, I made comparisons to Jim Shooter, being like, I think this is someone that came in with a lot of energy and shook up a lot of stuff, but eventually found themselves on the bad side of the creators and just didn't have a place in the office anymore. And I think that's kind of, Jim Shooter was, I would think, loved by fans, probably, especially retroactively, now that we kind of look back at that era. But by the end of his run, pretty despised by a lot of the creators that worked for him, which is tough because, when you're an editor-in-chief, you have to make a lot of, really strong decisions. And he was there for, arguably the best comics that Marvel's ever published. Byrne and Claremont's run on X-Men. Frank Miller is run on Daredevil. Simonson's run on Thor. Byrne's run on Fantastic Four. He was, if not directly responsible, at least oversaw those books, which again, arguably the most important comics Marvel has published. Outside the origin issues of all these characters, in the case of Frank Miller's Daredevil, right, and Bernard Claremont's X-Men, absolutely the defining run on those titles, and nothing has come close. So, it's pretty remarkable that someone, came in and made such sweeping changes, but then kept wanting to make sweeping changes. And I think that's where you suddenly find these creators like, well, you changed it and that's good, but now you want to change what I'm doing. And that isn't that they didn't like that. John Byrne and I think if you're an old comics buyer's guide reader or comics journal, probably lots of letter column wars about Jim Shooter and his tenure at Marvel. And, for some of us that are a little bit younger than that, Valiant obviously was a massive part of the 90s, coming in right after Image Comics, and was a really strong third or fourth pillar to Marvel and DC and Image in the early 90s comics, and in a pretty defining run of books for so many 90s comic fans. That it's still to this day, right? I mean, Valiant's still kicking around, and so it's not quite what it was, but it obviously he was there for the formation of that, and pretty responsible for most of those original characters that the Valiant created. So, Kevin, you probably are of all of us the best to speak on his earlier Marvel work. You were there for a little bit more of it than we were. Active reader.
But you covered it pretty well. I think I think what the part where you're saying the creators started to despise him, because when Shooter took over, this was a situation where it was kind of like floundering around. There was a lot of late books, missed deadlines, fill-in issues, and so Shooter comes in to crack the whip, right, and get everything back on track. And look at the results. You can't argue with the results. Like, the fans should love him. Creators might hate him, but the fans should love him of that era. Say what you want about Secret Wars. That's right.
Well, people look back at Secret Wars now and love it, right?
Yeah.
At the time, I don't know. I feel like
didn't that bring us like jazz hands?
Toy cash grab, right?
Yeah, it was toys were first, and the comic came to support the toys. Yeah, that was the design, like DC with superpowers. But honestly, even with Kirby on superpowers, I'll take Secret Wars. If you have to choose between those two as toy tie-ins, I'll take Secret Wars any day. But
and Secret Wars was like an event before events, right? I mean,
Contest of Champions would really be the only thing close to it right before that. But who actually makes a good point on this, who was there at the time, is Byrne. And his point was that Marvel needed Shooter at that time. Marvel needed a drill sergeant at that time. Yeah. And then Shooter fixed everything. And then because that was his MO, he felt the need to keep fixing. And then across the street, Dick Giordano is running DC. And Dick Giordano is the laid-back, kindly old grandfather who just lets everybody just run wild. Yeah, and so that's why Marvel is suddenly kicking DC's ass so substantially. So Byrne's idea, and this is way after the fact, he's posted this online, is those two guys should have switched jobs every few years. Because what Marvel needed, say like 1986, what Marvel needed was a Giordano, and what DC needed was Shooter. And then 3 years later or 4, whatever, you flop back again.
Yeah, he was. So he got fired in 87. When did he take over? 78. Sorry, I was scanning some of the notes here. 78. He succeeded Archie Goodwin to become Marvel's 9th editor in chief. And remember, this was during a time where Marvel Comics was starting to become something very different, right? This was Marvel's big push into licensing and film, right? Trying to do movies and television shows, right? This was kind of their, they had done like the animated stuff, and they tried to do stuff in the 60s. Stan Lee was always interested in Hollywood, but you get a lot of the licensed comics in the late 70s, obviously with Star Wars, and kind of went from there. And then you have, them trying to get their own stuff off the ground, and toys and merchandise, and, more than just the comic books. And so, he comes into a Marvel Comics that was, the big runs on Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, are over, and the books are not. I mean, I'm not saying they're terrible, but they needed something to kick them in the ass. And what you were saying about the creators might hate them, but the fans should love them, right? I mean, that's what I was saying about Dan Didio earlier, where it's like I feel like you have sort of this end product that should shine over any of the external problems or the internal problems, but nowadays I think would hear so much more about that. You're kind of, at the time, a lot of this kind of, I think the average fan either doesn't know about it or finds out about it well after the fact. Unless you were reading the real deep comic fanzines, or, were at the conventions, and there just wasn't the average fan had no idea still at this point who the editors and writers are for a lot of books, right? I mean, clearly we're getting into the 80s and people are paying more attention to the creative teams from an average fan point of view, but not to the point where, you're following these people on some sort of social media now. There was just a divide between the fans and the editorial and creative team that, unless you're writing them a letter column, right, they probably don't have any idea who you are.
How the fans should judge it. Yeah, how the fans should judge it is, I know these days you hear Bleeding Cool and wherever else, every freaking rumor and gossip. Yeah. How you should judge what's on the shelf is pretend you know nothing about behind the scenes. Nothing at all. You don't even know what these people look like as the creators. That's how you should judge what's on the shelf. Not, oh, I heard this was a real pain in the ass to make. Oh, I heard these two didn't get along, blah, blah, blah. Or this was delayed. This was rewritten. None of that matters. Ultimately, I mean, if it matters to you personally, then great. But what you should judge is the product. And if we're judging the product, Shooter should be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, yeah.
Not to mention his writing work. Never mind the EIC. He did an awesome Avengers run. I know everybody thinks of Legion first, but his Avengers run is still really cool.
Yeah. I think his time at Marvel is kind of, for most fans, is going to be kind of his defining time. But yeah, his origin into comics, if you don't know it, was he was literally a kid. He was like 13 or 14 years old, and a DC Comics fan, and wrote in to Mort Weisinger, who was the editor on all the DC and Legion books, and said hey, here's a Legion of Superheroes story I did. And he's like, cool. All right, well, let's do it. Let's print it, and gave him the job, because the Legion was kind of floundering. It had been around for a couple of years, but it was just a backup strip. Nobody really cared about the Legion at this point. And so as the story goes, he had no idea that he was a kid, right? Weisinger had no idea that Shooter was literally a teenager, barely a teenager at that. And the story is he calls him into the office one day and he says, oh yeah, I can come up there after school or whatever, right? Quote unquote, later in the day. And he goes in with his dad, and Weisinger starts talking to his dad, and he's like, oh no, I'm Jim's dad. That's Jim Shooter. My kid, this kid is the one that's writing Legion of Superheroes for you. And he was also doing the artwork and layouts and stuff. I mean, he was and I actually have read those issues fairly recently, because I'm doing this big Legion read through, full in chronological order. So I got through the Shooter stuff fairly recently, and it is he took that Marvel style to DC and was the only book at the time that was doing anything like that at DC. Big characters, big panels, lots of action, just drama and exciting covers. And it's such a if you look at the backup strips that those are in, and then you read the main Superman book, and you're like, oh my god, these are dreadful, just absolutely dreadful, boring, mid '60s Superman just slog. At Legion, was an incredible breath of fresh air. It just created new character after new character after new character. So yeah, just legendary run on the Legion, and then left and then went over to Marvel, and kind of, that whole line of all new, all different X-Men, Daredevil's complete reinvention, all the changes from Secret Wars, Black Costume, Spider-Man, right? That's all under his tenure, and about as iconic of runs as you can get for any Marvel comic. Through the 2000s, he did some stuff randomly. He could come back and do some comics from time to time. He came back and did some Legion stuff. Again, not much you can do. It's 50 years later, 60 years later, 50 years later, it's not quite the same. He did some other books for Dark Horse. He did go back when they did bring back the Gold Key comics. He oversaw some of that when they did New Turok, Magnus, and I don't think, because they only finished that, right? They did like one run, and then Dark Horse dropped the whole line. I don't think they did anything more than that. So, I was looking through some of his comics here on Wikipedia. Also a lot. I meant to bring this up too. A lot of the Treasury editions and the real earliest Marvel graphic novels, which was a new thing at the time. He was there for a lot of that. They had done some of the tabloid sized books prior, but they're starting to reprint those now, and those are, I definitely have a lot of customers at the shop that are like, these are some of the first books I read. They're big, oversized, like what are they, like 10 by 13 or something? Those big, oversized comics, and still just continued that line for quite a while. Made New Universe. I'd say, well, I mean, again, do you get stuff like Ultimates and Vertigo without something like New Universe, right? I mean, and Epic, right? He was there for the formation of Epic Comics. Yeah. Another thing, it didn't quite work at the time. He was close though, right? Yeah. He had these ideas. He was close on a lot of this stuff. The industry just wasn't there. And my last note here, because he was, again, how much was specifically his idea and how much was a company-wide thing, and we'll let historians tell you exactly what that is. But he was there for Dazzler #1, and you may kind of roll your eyes at that, but that is one of the most important comics in comic book history, because it was the first Marvel comic. I don't know, it might have been, was Dazzler #1 the first comic that was exclusive to the direct market in comic book stores? Dazzler #1 did not go to newsstands. It was something that was only available at comic book shops, which was, at the time, the direct market. Funny that this happens is, with the death of Diamond, right, is happening when he passes away, but who would become the direct market. But this was the start of comic books being sold at comic book stores exclusively and not at newsstands. He clearly saw, and people at Marvel clearly saw, that the newsstand market was going to go away at this point within a decade, right? If they had waited a couple more years, who knows? Because would you have had Image Comics? Would you have had the 90s comic boom? Todd McFarlane on Spider-Man was right around the corner, after his time, but it was so close after. Would the comic stores have been around, and with the success of the direct market and those books providing additional income to the comic stores, would they have been prepared for Spawn #1 and Wildcats, and what the entire industry would become? Who knows, right? So it's he was there at Marvel at an incredibly pivotal time, and it's pretty fascinating. Whatever his peers and creators at the time thought of him, history kind of looks back at it and, a little less nuanced, and he was there for a lot of really, really important things in comics that defined the next 50 years. So yeah, it's interesting stuff. It's sad that he passed away, but it's an incredible legacy.
Selfishly, I will say, again, the one happy part of this story, just for me personally, and I don't mean happy about him being gone. I mean,
sure.
I just got him in the DC book like last year.
Oh yeah. Got it.
Nice.
Good timing.
Yeah. Finally, somebody I get on the right, side of timing.
He hadn't really done like a lot of conventions, right? I was reading some notes here that he was kind of like back doing conventions and public appearances and stuff. Like I think he hadn't been for a while.
Yeah, he was doing like the more East Coast cons.
Okay.
But yes, and then I was on the same flight with him leaving the con also, so I got double Shooter.
Oh, nice.
Jim Shooter, me, and Sergeant Slaughter on the same plane.
Nice.
That's awesome.
You are correct, Ryan. Dazzler #1 was the first direct to market.
Yeah. I didn't think there. It's possible there could have been other, indie comics that were sold, locally to comic shops only. I'm sure there was all sorts of that stuff in the, in the 70s and early 80s when the boom was starting up. But yeah, the first like distributed standard Western comic distributed that would normally also go to newsstands didn't. So yeah, Dazzler's a very important comic in the comic industry. Despite being, it's Dazzler, it's like, I was reading this earlier because I was trying to think. I was looking back at some notes and I was like, what were the other ones? It was like Dazzler. It's like Marvel Fanfare and Kazar were like the first ones that were like comic shop only. What an odd list. But it's clearly stuff that they didn't know, right? They were like, well, I don't know if this is going to work. They probably don't want this on the shelf. They want, they want Spider-Man and Superman and Batman, right? They don't want these random books, but the direct market will buy Dazzler. And they did. Dazzler #1 sold like 400,000 copies, I think the number was. Like, it was a huge amount. People, stores were buying by the cases, and it obviously worked. Despite whatever that, Dazzler's kind of a funny legacy in comics. But,
are you buying Dazzler by the case now?
Not too many people are buying too many comics by the cases these days, but yeah, interesting little footnote there. Well, yeah, so that's Jim Shooter. Very sad, but shouldn't be too surprising at this point. Unfortunately, like I said, we've lost too many big names recently. What did I have? Oops, sorry, let me go back to my list of things here. I will, just because I'm sure everyone's sick of this, I will burn through quickly all the Diamond stuff, because it has been a wild and is never stopping. And
I just want to CGC my last preview magazine already.
So
Jesus.
Let's start there. Previews magazine officially done, at least for the foreseeable future. It's done. They announced the new Previews magazine, which should have launched this past week, will be digital only. They did not go to print on it. So if you bought last month's, you own the last issue of Wizard magazine of Previews. The
441, baby.
Yep. So that lasts longer than a lot of comics. Should not be surprising. Image also announced the ending of their print catalog. I expect Marvel and DC will announce the ending of theirs within, I'll give them 12 months. The print catalog days, I believe, are mostly behind us. Now, the news for the last couple of weeks for comics has been not who's leaving, because at this point it is now everyone, right? Every major publisher is gone. Dynamite moved to Lunar. Zenescope, I believe, is like they're like doing some weird like self-distribution thing. I don't really know what they're doing. But the real news is that I'm going to paraphrase a lot of this. Graphic Policy, Comics Beat, Bleeding Cool, they're all doing a lot of research on this. So I'm kind of mashing together a bunch of little news stories here. But what appears to be happening with Diamond Comics is when the sale went through officially on May 15th, I believe it was. That was the sale date. Any inventory at Diamond Comics from May 15th or before May 15th is considered part of like old Diamond's like inventory and their bankruptcy stuff. And the first people that get paid in the bankruptcy is the banks that funded Diamond through their bankruptcy. So all the sales for product at Diamond is being held and not returned to the distributors or not returned to the publishers, even if they're on consignment, because a lot of the comics are there. Diamond. So if you're Marvel, little back story of how comic distribution works, at least how it did work through Diamond. If you're Marvel, you would get the order in from the stores, and then, through Diamond, and then you would send the books to Diamond, and then Diamond would send, the printer would send the books to Diamond, Diamond would send the books to the stores. Now, they would have some inventory kept at Diamond to replenish reorders, shortages, graphic novels would be there. So Marvel would just ship books to Diamond, and when Diamond would sell them, they would report those sales back to the company, and the company would be, okay, we have 50 more copies there. And then they would slowly reduce. And then when, okay, we got 10, let's send them 50 more. And, whatever it is to keep that inventory tapped off. If Marvel was like, shit, we're doing a big convention, we need to bring a bunch of these books back, Marvel would say, hey, Diamond, give us our books back. They would then ship, 500 copies back to them, whatever it is, whatever the company was. I believe there were certain, a lot of the small press and like the real small press and indie companies, I believe they weren't on consignment. I believe with them, Diamond actually bought those outright. And a lot of like the toys obviously aren't that. So this seemed, I believe this was just kind of the bigger publishers, the more, the bigger Western comic publishers, companies like Fantagraphics, Scholastic, yada, yada, yada. This was the old ways, right? This is the old ways. So everyone that had stuff at Diamond when the bankruptcy was going through and then sold, Diamond, the current owners, even though it is, they are technically a different company, they're like, all the product that was here, whenever we sell it, it's being paid off to lawyers and the banks. That's the bankruptcy laws state all that product is ours. We're not sending it back to the publishers. And you're also not getting paid for it. The new Diamond, so again, technically the same company now because the Sparkle Pop or whatever the company is that bought Diamond, they bought all this. So they're like, oh yeah, past May 15th, keep sending us product. We're also not paying you. So not only have they not paid anyone for product that was already there pre-bankruptcy, they're also not paying people for product that was sold post-bankruptcy. Now, that's a whole nother question. I have no idea what that's about. I don't know that anyone really does. But this has caused basically every publisher to stop sending stuff to Diamond. So Dynamite's finally gone. Zenoscope's gone. Fantagraphics says they have like $1 million, I think they said, in inventory that was at Diamond. I think they said $1 million. I think they said it was like 7 figures. It was an article on ICV2. I can pull it back up while we're talking. I'm make sure I don't get that quote wrong. But it was something like a 7. Like, let me see if I have this here.
Always great research radio.
Yeah. No, it was something crazy. It was an incredible amount of. Here we go. Let's see if I can have it. Yeah. So they sales since have been $35,000 that they have not paid to them. That is books that have sold. They're holding retail inventory estimated in the low 7 figures. That is a direct quote. from Eric Reynolds at Fantagraphics. So they have over $1 million in retail inventory at Diamond, with $35,000 in sales in the last few weeks that they have paid $0 to Fantagraphics. And that's just Fantagraphics. That's just one company. Which, again, stores like me, we've already moved our orders to Lunar months ago. So that's stores that have not moved their orders away from Diamond. So that's, they probably have significantly more money pre that might not have been sent to them yet. So pretty substantial amount of money. And so Diamond is trying to sell off all this inventory to
stole
that they. So it's funny, right?
Like
what appears to be happening, right, is that one singular company got all their product returned to them because they filled out the proper paperwork. There's when there's a bankruptcy, there's apparently some paperwork. I don't get into the specifics. I read it all, and it's all legally stuff that bleeds out of my ear. But there's like some paperwork that you could file, like in the case of a bankruptcy, any consigned products are returned to them. One company, the Pokemon Company. They're the only ones that did it. So all the Pokemon Company's products got returned to them. Every other company, Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, every other publisher that had anything, well, I guess DC and Image wouldn't have had anything. They've been gone for a while. Maybe there's still some stuff trickling in the warehouse, but I'm sure it's not a lot. But any of the products from Penguin Random House, all the manga companies, all the toy companies, McFarlane, I'm sure, had a ton of product that had been, ordered or on order for them. All of that is anything just sitting in the warehouse is gone. And so they, So the Pokemon Company was the one that got everything back. And so I don't know if the case they really just we just fill this paperwork out for every single company we deal with, and so just in case to cover our ass. It sounds like no one else did. The bankruptcy. It didn't come out of nowhere, but it was never announced it was going to happen. It was just, we filed for bankruptcy today. So nobody knew they had time to fill this paperwork out. So yeah, not great. Yeah. Not great at all.
Well, isn't a bunch of the publishers now getting in a major lawsuit against them?
There is talk that, yes, there is work behind the scenes from all the publishers affected, all the manufacturers affected to do something. This will take years and cost a ton of money, and I'm sure for small companies it's not worth it. What does Penguin Random House do about the $9.5 million Diamond owes them? Right, that's the $500,000 they owe Lunar. Right, that all that money. Bankruptcy protection, who gets paid, right? Well, Chase is getting paid back, or who the hell? Wells Fargo? I don't remember who was banking. I think it was Chase who was banking the bankruptcy. But yeah, it's not getting paid to the publishers, not getting paid to the creators. So terrible. Some of this might be Diamond. Some of this might just be, this is just how bankruptcies work, and it sucks for the companies affected. But that doesn't make it any better for the stores or for the publishers.
Well, with just how everything has been with this whole thing, it's all just I don't know what. It's all just shady at this point. How do you not it's, I don't know. To me, it's one of those things where it's oh, okay, so shitty company's even shittier and screws all these people. Oh, okay, so, but they're people it's not people at the top that are going to get hurt. It's the people at the bottom, and that's But hey, our taxpayers' dollars are going to protect it.
Today. One last thing before for Diamond. Nope. This morning in the Diamond Direct, buried quite low down the list of the weekly the daily Diamond email, Comic Suite, which is their point of sale system, and the Previews Pull Box, which is their ordering app, much like the Comic Cub app that we use, is dead. So good luck. if you were using those to manage your pull systems or your point of sale systems, yeah, they're dead. So again, most stores have probably knew this was coming and have moved away. The point of sale system will run without it, without updates for the time being until it doesn't, because eventually software decays and you're gonna have all these sort of problems. But any of the I'll read the exact quote here. The POS systems will continue to run without the Comic Suite customizations, which primarily and systematically move consumer subscriptions from the web or in store into the cart of the POS. So basically, any of the orders placed by customers is gone. So customers can't place orders through how stores have been using this have been working. Users can replace or obtain support for their POS directly from RMH, which is the company that does like
the hosting company or whatever.
Yeah. Or from third-party providers of their choice. The module will cease to function when the user license for the software expires. So if you were due for a renewal next month, it's just not going to work. You're done. It's over. So
fuck.
Yeah. So
no, because all this means is, and I can see this happening in the next few months for the rest of this year, well into the next year. Stores that people are going to go to online more who really want their books, which means that stores like us with Comic Hub are going to probably see an increase in mail order subscriptions because people aren't going to be able to get it from their local shop because of this clusterfuck fiasco of whatever. And so they're going to have to go elsewhere for it. It's great for us.
Yeah, I mean, right? I don't know.
It's how much of an impact is it going to be? You can't go, well, or how much are we going to get out of this versus how much we aren't going to get out of this?
Well, I think, I would think most stores have already moved away from this stuff or are in the process of figuring it out and already understand, right? The stores that this is mostly going to affect, or the stores probably don't pay attention. They're like, yeah, we've been using this thing and we don't really care. And what's this now? Is suddenly not working? That's when you're gonna have a problem, right? So I hope people have figured this out. I hope most stores have planned for this, right? In the last, call it 6 months, right? Really the last couple, but we kind of knew a lot of this was coming. So yeah, not great. Wait,
was Comic Suite? So you said it's like Hub. So was that also a POS system for the store, or was it just a system to order from Diamond?
No, Comic Suite's a full point of sale system.
Okay, and that's even worse.
Yeah, Pullbox is the ordering.
Okay, yeah, I knew about Pullbox. Okay,
like the app. Yeah.
So that's actually harder because then they actually not only do they lose the license and that they also lose, basically they're going to lose all their records for any sales unless it imports into a new system.
Yeah, RMH is a software point of sale system. It's Microsoft's. It's some thing that it was built on. So whenever that expires, the Diamond one will go away. Retail Management Hero, RMH. That is what their POS was built on. So I'm assuming, I don't have it, but I'm assuming they have the license through Diamond and Diamond's license is through RMH. So when that license expires, since you can't re-up that license, maybe there is third-party point-of-sale stuff you could then adopt.
Yeah.
But it won't be the Diamond one it won't have the Diamond files. And at this point, it's all worthless because every company stopped providing comics to Diamond. So none of that data is going to be in there anyway. You still got to get this data in from the other distributors. If you're not using Diamond, there's no reason to use this. So,
well, I mean, that just affects new comics, but I mean, because the big thing would be, everything that's still on their shelves in their bins is in their old system, right? And so, they would lose all that too if they lost the license.
RMH, I'm sure, has a way to export this like Comic Hub can import stuff from other point of sale systems and import the data. It's got to figure out what columns are what, but there's a way to export a big Excel file with all the information. So it's, it's not impossible. I mean, it's not like hardwired in or, hard coded into the software. There's a way to take that off, but it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I'm just saying right? It's not an overnight fix though. That's the issue.
No,
and if the stores don't realize this, it's a much bigger surprise than you were saying, I think, because if they were relying on the system for regular sales.
One of my regulars who doesn't use Comic Hub, he came in and he goes, "Hey, none of the Marvel comics are showing up on the website anymore." I'm like, "What website?" He goes, "Oh, I use Previews World for all for everything but DC and Image." And I'm like, yeah, it's because they don't have them anymore. Like, don't use Previews World anymore. That stuff's all gone. Like, you're not going to get anything there. And he's like, where can I find it? I'm like, I'll go put it on the internet. Like other places, there's a bunch of different websites that get the solicitation info, but it's not going to be at Previews World anymore. Mm-hmm. So if that's what you're using it for, they're not going to have anything soon. The FOC last week was 12 books. The Diamond Order was 12 books last week. It was 11 this week.
Wow, there's still an
Penguin Mouse is like 230, 240. Lunar's 180, 190 books. So,
did we order anything off of Diamond?
No, I didn't even put in a Diamond. I didn't even put in a Diamond initial order this month. The last month, I ordered a couple books for regular customers and a handful of statues, and the Ban Presto, the Japanese like $25 statues, and who even knows if those are going to come in? I was like, well, they're offering them still. I'll order them. If they don't show up, they don't show up. No big deal.
My order this month for it don't matter.
Well, yeah. My order this month was one independent comic for the customer that subscribed to it, a couple issues of Doctor Who magazine, which is not available anywhere else as of yet. Uh-huh. A couple other horror magazines that, again, I can't get anywhere else. And these companies are aware of Diamond is dying too, so hopefully they go somewhere. And Knights of the Dinner Table for me. That is the other only book I ordered was my quarterly issue of Knights of the Dinner Table. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, where are you going to get that?
I'm not going to buy this like a regular person, like a civilian. Like, where am I getting my copy of Knights of the Dinner Table from? God damn it! So,
you damn plebe, order it like a plebe.
Yeah. Now it affects me, so now I'm pissed off. Okay, all right, that's how this works. Yeah.
So then, isn't this also kind of like a little weird because, like you said, if the original publishers / creators aren't getting paid, then why are they still being sold at this point? Because
no one is sending stuff to Diamond, but Diamond's like, if we've got it in stock and you want to buy it, we're not giving the publisher their money, but you can buy it from us.
That seems a little
like
weird.
I have a copy of my Diamond shipment this week is one copy of The Boys Volume 1. That is my order from Diamond this week. One trade paperback restock because I ordered it like a couple weeks back before Lunar had picked up Dynamite. So I'm like, it was on back order and they're filled it. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I got one book and it's a reorder from Diamond this week. Great. So, yeah. I think last week's was like a couple Dynamite restock issues.
Didn't you get some statues?
A couple Zenoscope. Oh, I didn't tell. Yes.
I was like, well, you never told me what happened from that. That's where my curiosity is.
So this I'll have to update next podcast when I actually get like our invoicing and everything like that. So I had I did my back order list, right? We still have at this point it's got to be 150 action figures and statues and special order shit that just never shipped from Diamond. Most of it's never going to ship, right? It's been gone and Diamond never got it and whatever. But there's a handful of stuff that I think is still going to come. It's stuff that's scheduled for later this year or stuff that I feel is like, okay, hopefully this stuff still shows up. So I had 2 X-Men statues on my order last week, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay. This was a long time ago, but they finally got them. Fine, whatever. I don't care about the timing really. And I'm like, why are they so expensive? I'm like, this statue is like $350. I'm like, I generally don't order statues that expensive. Why would I have ordered this Wolverine statue that was like $350? And I get it, and I open it up, and I'm like, these are the X-Men 97 statues. These are like $150. Why?
Yeah, because you had ordered. We had gotten like what, 2 of them before.
We did. Oh yeah, months ago. Months ago,
we got like 2 of them, and we sold them.
Yeah, these were ordered at the same time, right? So this is months and months and months later at nearly 3 times the cost, right? Well over double, nearly 3 times. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I look on the website, it's like Iron Studios, right? I look on their website, they're selling it for MSRP, right? We have to sell it a little bit over, right? I mean, we don't get the same discount, blah, blah, blah. But I understand the pricing. I'm not concerned about their MSRP, their direct price. I knew this was going to be the case, but not $350. And I'm like, why? And I was like, is this a tariff thing? So I messaged Diamond, and again, the random rep that gets back to me, they're like, oh yeah, we had mentioned that there was going to be adjustments of certain products because of tariffs. This is the new price. And I'm like, but on eBay, on Amazon, on their own website, it's normal price.
Yeah.
They never had any increased tariff pricing on this. The tariff either never took place or they got it here before. And I'm like, can you check and see if you guys were actually charged the tariff price for this? Or is this a case of, you up the price and you just hope nobody says anything about it? Because that's fucking shady as shit.
Yeah.
And so like a couple days later, so this was like, I got them last Wednesday. So like Friday. Yeah, it must have been Friday.
Well, what's funny is I watched you screenshot. Like,
yeah.
Their website, you went to it, you screenshotted it, like you sent the email off, and I'm like, I'm just waiting for it to change online and all this shit to go on, and I'm like, oh, you caught them.
So Friday at Friday at 5 p.m., I get an email. They're like, well, instead of returning them, would you be okay if we charged you like a little bit over what it probably would have been? But, I think like 15% tariff increase got put into their system at like 1,500% tariff increase or something like that. Like I have no idea what the hell. Something. I don't know what the hell they were trying to pull, but I'm like, that's fine. It's fine. I'll eat the couple bucks and I'll put this out at the price I was going to put it out originally at. But that's fucking uncool, dude. Like, so we'll see if any more of that shows up. So I'm expecting a couple $100 in credit on my Diamond bill, which is like a couple $100. That might be everything I ever get from them again. So,
can I give you a piece of advice?
I'll report if I actually get that credit. When I get that credit, I'll say something. I'll let everyone know.
I listened to this podcast and they were talking about this, and publishers aren't getting paid, creators aren't getting paid. I'm assuming stores are just not going to get credited. So,
Yeah.
I think you're going to have to contact your bank and file.
It's all right. It's all right.
I didn't order these.
Yeah. I did pay before when I'm expect that credit back on my account. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So
fucking bastards.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Make
a noise and a stink, and
I keep trying. Hey, we got some movie news here. Why don't I just make this an all comic podcast? Why don't I just talk about comics this whole time?
If we're going to talk all comics, we have to do a random pick.
No.
Kevin just woke the fuck up. I'll tell you that much.
You guys are going to talk about. You guys going to talk about Clerks 3, Solomon?
Yes, we do.
I'll go use the bathroom. I'll go take a shower. You guys are talking about that. Let me get through the comic news, and you guys can talk about whatever the hell you want.
Shower. Damn, dude. Your Kevin Smith hate runs deep. You gotta take a shower.
Liam's laughing about something.
Laughing at you because you went
the end of I'm just like trying to get my words here. The end of Diamond is not the end of Diamond. The end of Preview is not the only long running thing to get killed that probably should have died years ago. Marvel Masterworks is also dead. Pouring out for the homies still buying those. Really the original
Epic Collections.
Yeah. Marvel, probably, again, if you're not over 30 years old, you've probably never seen one of these in the wild, right?
Oh, you've probably seen them at the used bookstores.
Marvel Masterworks
used
was
sections.
when did it start? Late 80s, right? I'm going to say first
yeah,
one's going to be like 86,
I was working at Comics and Comics when the first one came out, I believe.
They were so expensive for so little.
They were $29.95 originally for like 6 issues.
87. 87 was the first volume.
So it's Shooter.
So no,
Shooter
so no after that. So those they started before me. Yeah.
So this is Marvel's from Marvel Comics, the Marvel Comics age, right? Fantastic Four #1. Basically, their chronological reprint of every series, and they had of all their ongoing comics, right? Their mainline comics, and they had a pretty interesting way of doing it, which then became kind of a variant cover for those original collectors as the series went on, where it wasn't numbered, X-Men Volume 1, X-Men Volume 2, X-Men Volume 3. It was actually numbered Volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with whatever the book was. So I can pull up a full list here. The original volume was, let's see if I can get it here, right? So Amazing Spider-Man #1 was Volume 1. Fantastic Four Volume 1 was #2. X-Men Volume 1 was #3. And the idea is that you would, slowly go through the entire, important Marvel comics. So obviously, X-Men, Hulk, Avengers, Spider-Man, Captain America, Silver Surfer, right? This is, every couple of months you'd get a new one of these things. And then they would, there would be up pretty regularly for a while. Kind of took a hiatus for a little while. And then they came back. And when they came back, they were every other month, I think. Like, they hauled ass on this line, and suddenly every month there's another one of these things. It was a pretty successful line through the 90s and 2000s, but the price just kept going up and up and up, and the amount of content you were getting was not changing. It was about 10 issues worth, right? So you'd get about 250 pages, 300 pages, 330 pages, somewhere in that range. You obviously have more issues for the lower page count ones. I think, like the Hulk one, volume 1 of Hulk was just like 1 through 5, right? Or 1 through 6.
I'm looking at it on the shelf right now next to me.
Yeah.
That's the smallest one, because
it's just that original.
I think I have about 5 of them from where I can see where I'm sitting.
Yeah,
and the Hulk is significantly skinnier than all of the other ones next to it.
Yeah, because it was only the first 6 issues. And so what you start to get through the 2000s is omnibuses, and then the epic collections in mid 2010s. And the Masterworks just fell to the wayside as like, well, these are like hardcover, good color, glossy paper, but they're not going to go back to press on this stuff. Who's going back to buy all these old volumes? And so, they reprinted the first number of volumes of some weird, like funky, like pop art. Yeah. And they did all this weird, like, they tried to kind of relaunch the line a few times. They did soft cover line that never took off. So into the 2010s and early 2020, it was like, okay, this is basically, you're kind of getting down to the,
Well, you hadn't ordered
not
any
the dregs, but to what's that?
You hadn't ordered any in how long?
Well, years and years and years. And they started to do the variant covers, right? So you would actually buy them, and you could get X-Men Volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but they would still have a variant cover that was the original numbering. Yeah. So if you bought the variant for Marvel Team Up Volume 7, you can actually, it'll say in Volume 353. So I'm sure there's people out there with every single volume, right? And there definitely is. And then they're getting, they got into like the mid 70s and a lot of this stuff, but you start to get stuff like Avengers of the West Coast, Vision and Scarlet Witch, Marvel 2-in-1 Volume 8. I'm not saying these are bad comics, but the audience for these books is going to be microscopic.
It's somebody who wants to pay $75 for a hardcover collection of this chunk of issues of Spectacular Spider-Man.
You would just buy the omnibus for $125. Right. That's going to be 5 times the amount of issues. Yeah. It is just at the point where we were ending, they were like $75 a book, which was the price of some of the omnibuses that Marvel and DC were launching when they started, that were literally larger and 2 to 4 times the amount of issues. So it was just this defunct brand that they kept around. And I don't see any, I feel bad for people that have been collecting this entire series. You've got pretty far in a lot of books, but it is just such a substandard product compared to epics and omnibuses. I know the argument about the omnibuses being too big, right? And the argument about the epics jumping around. But at this point, there's so many epics from Marvel that the vast majority have been collected. If you go 60s to, Marvel Heroes Reborn, Age of Apocalypse, the majority of the Marvel books, the big stuff has been collected. Yeah. So yeah, they did they tried to do a Mighty Marvel Masterworks, like a little kids line. They killed like a digest size line. They killed that a few months ago. So they got 30 or 40 volumes into that. But again, just sales are minimal on those. So I don't mind that they tried, right? I mean, DC had their archives for years, right? They did that forever, and it's the similar line that just died out. DC didn't, Epic ran for a solid decade or 15 years longer than DC ran that line for. So, it's unfortunate for people that want those, but I just don't see any world in which those were gonna stick around. If you're missing Comixology, so are the people that make Comixology, because they made a new digital app. If you want to read,
can we be their top store digitally again?
Well, there's some funk. There's
always some funk.
There's some funk to this.
Fucking always that way.
I hope it goes well. I hope it goes well for them. The name of the app is Neon Ichiban, which does not scream Western comic digital app. It screams bad 2002 Japanese anime fan site. So it's an odd name. That aside, there's digital sketched collectibles are a part of this app. You can buy and sell your own digital comics and collectibles within it.
It's so done.
I don't expect there's a way to import your existing Comixology purchases, meaning if you want, you're like, well, it'd be neat if they're like, look, you already bought this on Comixology. We'll just give it to you for free, and now it's on your account. Now you can buy stuff from us. That would be great. I don't think that's happening here. That doesn't seem like that's the case. So if you want stuff, you're gonna have to buy everything again. Yeah.
Can we just skip to the part where capitalism? We don't have capitalism anymore. It is
wild. It is wild to me that digital comics just doesn't work. It's pretty fucking crazy that really Marvel Unlimited and DC Universe are. That's the way to do it. That's the only way that's actually work.
It's my Star Trek Online for you. I pay for it. I have it. I don't necessarily use it.
But I use Marvel Unlimited. But I'm to read older stuff. I just don't know what getting someone to start over again on a digital library right now for comics is a tough, when you have Unlimited and DC Infinite there, that's a tough sell. And I just don't know that, I just don't think there just doesn't seem to be this audience for digital comics. No one's more baffled than me. I'm totally fine with them. I understand that they could harm the industry that I'm in, but it's weird that it just doesn't seem to happen. If you want the comics, you can read them all for free on pirate websites, and I think that most people are fine with that, or they're fine with just Marvel and DC. Whether this is a state of independent comics, or if you want manga, you're probably just reading fan scanlations, or you're using the I have no idea how many people use the Just Run and Jump app. I mean, I assume people do, but I feel like I don't hear about it the way I hear about Marvel and DC.
Well, I think it's just.
And I think if you're reading digital comics, you're reading you're reading the fan stuff from what the hell's that site? You're not reading Marvel and DC Western comics and the indie Western comics. You're reading the hell's that site called? I forget what it's called. Whatever it is. The Korean one? Webtoons?
Oh.
Yeah, you're reading Webtoons.
Yeah. But I think what it is it's more along the lines of comic books. Because I mean, I tried to read some stuff online, get caught up with my reading backlog, and I was like, I can have this with me instead of carrying 50 bajillion books all the time. And I think every single time I ran into the same issue of comic books are written as kind of a like the use of paneling and word balloons and dialogue and narrative windows, all that stuff it adds to the whole page, and the page doesn't translate down like to a smaller size. And even having a page that is like actual page of a comic book, you miss out when it's the splash page. Right.
Well, I remember I was at a panel. I think, Toby, you were there with me too. We were at that panel with Jim Lee a couple of years back, and he was talking about digital comics, and he did a very interesting. Yeah, I think it was a Fan Expo.
Yeah,
he had a pretty interesting line about the transition to digital comics, how the small panels become splash pages, and the splash pages become small panels, right? Just the way a panel works in a book, it's the size of the book.
Yeah.
Every panel it can only be the size of your tablet or screen, and then the smallest panels get blown up in panel view, and the biggest panels appear tiny because the smallest panels are now the same size as the largest panels.
Yeah.
So
that's why you need a tablet that's big enough to be actual comic book size. So I think manga is the perfect thing to go digital on.
Right.
If you want to do American comics, you need to fork out for the biggest screen you can find, which I think Charlie did. I think He showed me his tablet was all like, holy shit. He goes, yeah, it's the same size. So like, you're doing it right.
Yeah, I have an 8-inch Fire tablet, and that is perfectly fine for reading comics on.
Now, do you have two 8-inch tablets, so you put them so you get splash pages together?
And that's what I mean. It's perfectly fine for reading single-page comics, right? But when you get that splash page, it looks like shit, right?
Yeah.
It's not meant for it.
Right, exactly. You need two 10-inch tablets to fold together.
Yeah. You need a comic book.
A foldable 20-inch tablet.
Physical comic
just
book.
buy the fucking comic. Right. At that point, just buy the fucking comic.
Or a tablet that's the size of 2 pages together.
Yeah, so you want a 20-inch tablet?
Yeah.
Sorry, we're not Charlie. We can't, we're not Paul Bunyan. We can't hold a fucking...
At that point, you're holding a computer monitor in your...
Yeah. I got my 70-inch flat screen in my arms. I'm just like, there we go. Digital comics, for print Western comics, it is just a terrible reading experience, and they've not figured this out yet.
But like Leanne said, like the webtoons and all that stuff, like that stuff is made for the technology.
Right.
And people, But the funny part is when you take those and you translate them to book format,
it looks like shit.
It looks like shit because it's an odd size. Like,
sorry, I was like, look, it is not for me. I totally understand it. I'm going to read a chapter of Lore Olympus just to say I've read a chapter of Lore Olympus. It is horrible in print. I mean, it's also horrible in digital, but it is horrible in print because it just is not made for that. It reads so weird. It's such a bad reading experience because it is designed for the phone, and it just does not translate at all to a print image. It is not. And look, it was not for me. That's fine, but it's just not. It was a bad experience.
Well, even I remember being younger and getting Garfield books, right? That had the strips, the Garfield strips from the newspapers and stuff, and like the book was like sideways, and like they double stacked like the strips on there, and it was like, okay, it's fine, but like you stick it on your shelf and it's like it sticks out. It doesn't. It like. You had to change the style of the book to fit the format that it originally came in. You know, a perfect example is all those Calvin and Hobbes books.
Yeah, but right? They've done a good job, I think, with a lot of the comic strips of designing books. But you get the old Peanuts books that are the like 4x7. Yeah, and they it's like the panels are kind of like pasted on the page, but that works okay. Like that's not that bad of a reading experience.
No, it's not like it's a horrible reading experience when it's a little bit, when you get a little bit bigger and you keep kind of, it's more of like a deluxe version. But like I remember being a kid, and I'm like, they could have done this a little bit better.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's just how things transition from one format to another format. And I don't know, there's no one answer. I hope to God it's not meta glasses.
No. Nope. That stuff's not gonna work.
We're all gonna be reading AI slop anyway in about two years. So
two last stories before we wrap up here. Now this is a case where we are finally getting the best version of something, and that is after decades of being one of the worst printed comic series I've ever seen in my entire life, and I cannot fathom why it was ever released the way it was. Dark Horse is releasing Lone Wolf and Cub in hardcover deluxe, oversized with unflipped art. Legendary classic manga series.
The one with the tiny books?
Tiny. I cannot. I don't know.
I remember those things. Yeah, those things were stupidly small.
Yeah, the teeny little pocket books.
It baffles me.
4x4 inches.
Yeah. How could anyone ever read those? They were the smallest books I've ever seen in my entire life.
Still sold like a motherfucker, though.
It's because it's never come out here. It's like
I remember selling a shit ton of them. I remember selling them quite often at the
well, shop. Didn't they redo those in digest size though?
No, that was how they were put out.
Yeah.
Oh, the 4x6. Oh, the 4x6. Oh,
I don't know. It wasn't 4x6.
It's like 4x4 or 4x3.
It was like 3x4 or something. Yeah. Like they were tiny. Okay. There were these tiny little books, and it was an impossible book to read.
I still have the first one somewhere just for fun.
They killed the art. It just looks so terrible. So this is going to be like a 7x10, like the larger sizes they've done for some of their like prestige manga books, and then so book one will be. It's like each of these hardcovers is like 2.5 of the small books, so they're going to be split up a little bit differently. It says, but it's going to be $54.99 per volume, And so that should be, what was the original, like 30 volumes? I think something like that. So this should be 10 to 12. It was 30, 35, something in that range. They did, they printed a big stack of Lone Wolf and Cub in English, right? That was an epic. Who did, was that First?
Yeah. With
those Frank Miller covers?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Those were the Dark Knight format, I think.
Yeah. It was First, right?
Yeah.
So they're putting those out. So those came out back in the 80s, and then those terrible Dark Horse ones. But thank you, Dark Horse, for finally putting out real versions. I mean, obviously it's larger than the original, but real good versions of Lone Wolf and Cub. That's fantastic. I'm very excited about that. That should be awesome.
Are they also re-releasing a new version of Vagabond?
We have. I think I have only one at the shop. I don't remember how many are out so far, but that's been coming out. Yeah, it's the same size, right? It's the same size as those. Really nice hardcovers. Yep, little bit oversized from standard trade paperback. Very, very cool. Very cool collections.
I will say Dark Horse has done a decent job with like their library editions and their larger sized books being a reasonable price.
Yeah,
for what you're getting.
Very reasonable. Yeah.
Their smaller stuff, not so much, but their bigger stuff has been a good price.
The small stuff is just normal. It's fine. The library editions are ridiculously cheap comparatively to anything else. That size from other publishers. Yeah. Those Marvel like adamantium editions or whatever, like they're like $200 for some shit. Those library editions are cheap. Last big comic news for the last couple weeks, we knew a new creative team was coming on Transformers, and to replace Daniel Warren Johnson, and we now have it. Robert Kirkman said, "Fuck it, I'll do it myself." So Robert Kirkman's taken over Transformers. And for all us DC fans, Kevin just walked away, so he's not going to hear this news. Maybe he already heard it. Dan Mora, unfortunately, will be the artist. I did catch a comment from him where I believe he is leaving DC for a year. Maybe he's got enough books done that it's not going to be much of a
amount of stuff they've had him doing is
he's writing 2 books a month. He's writing Superman and Justice League right now. It's fucking unbelievable. But I believe he's only doing Transformers. I don't have the tweet in front of me. I believe he said he's going to be doing a year, and that's the only book he's going to be working on.
Well, that's
so
good.
Good on Transformers fans. I mean, the book's never going to look better. Demora is unbelievable. It's like he is such a good artist. So this should be a Transformers, I think, should see a nice little boost because Kirkman and Mora on that should get some people. And I mean, Transformers sells great. This is going to bring it up even another level. I think this is going to be a real big hit for them.
Skybound's done really, really well with the Hasbro stuff. Like I was never reading Transformers or G.I. Joe, but I still get it. I still read it. Like I'm like, this is good. Like quality books. So
they're okay. I don't know about Void Rivals.
Void Rivals it's Kirkman. It's like I feel like I'm just reading Oblivion Song or Outcast or something he's kind of just doing.
Yeah, but he's taking over Transformers.
I know, but we'll see.
So I guess we'll expect a time jump in around issue 50.
Yeah, probably.
Well, there is rumor, and of course, Kirkman doesn't go in and get all this and do nothing else, right? Clearly, there's more than just some comic books. Kevin's coming back. Wait till he gets his headset back on. Kevin, you walked away right as you probably heard the news that Dan Mora is going to be doing Transformers. So sad for us DC fans, happy for Transformers fans, but hopefully he's not gone for too long, or is able to do 2 books eventually again and just comes back. Clearly Kirkman was going to do more than this. Just some comics. There is rumors already going around that yes, there is a Transformers G.I. Joe, Skybound, Energon universe animated series in the works. With the success of Walking Dead and Invincible, you'd be insane to not give Kirkman the keys to your flagship titles if you could. Transformers has had successes in it has it's had some massive hits in cinematic.
Some of them have been hits.
Less so on the animated front in recent years.
G.I.
Joe is not. Did it? I don't think it did. People liked it. Yeah. Liking it and doing well are two different things. I don't think it did that well. Got it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, people loved Transformers 1. I don't think it did well. Is the problem. Walking Dead and Invincible have been absolute mega hits. I think what he could do with a G.I. Joe Transformers universe as an animated series would be great. I'm actually surprised they wouldn't try to do a TV show or movie franchise out of this, because that's what they were clearly going for, but with people that aren't, maybe dedicated long term. I have a feeling if you gave Kirkman Energon as a live action series or series of movies, that's probably, I'm sure Scott Bond would do that for a decade or more, right? I mean, you probably crank out quite a bit of movies and shows. So, I think they'll just again, it's rumors, but we know what's happening. You know what's happening. This was the plan all along. It just takes a lot longer to make a TV show than it does to make a comic. So I would not expect probably Comic-Con, right? I mean, it's coming. So I would think there'll be some announcements there of an animated series, and let's see where it goes from there. But should be good. Should be a good couple of years for Transformers and G.I. Joe fans. And that's it for comic news. Great comic news from the last few weeks. Toby, you had stuff you wanted to talk about. You also gave everyone some homework, not me. I don't do homework.
Ryan, as a transition into this topic, real quick, wasn't there an announcement about Kevin Smith writing a DC Marvel crossover? Did I dream this?
No. Well, so did we? Oh, I guess that's. I guess all this came out.
We only talked about the Deadpool Batman,
the original stuff. Yeah. So, the backup for the
backup.
Yes,
Kevin
the backup.
There's no backup.
The DC Marvel and Marvel DC crossover, at least the first one, the Marvel DC crossover is the Deadpool Batman one. We'll have three backups. It is, I'm not pulling it up here, so it is Green Arrow, Daredevil by Kevin Smith.
Yeah. I'd be down
Captain
for that.
America, Wonder Woman by Chip Zdarsky and Terry Dodson.
Hold on, back the fuck up. Daredevil and Green Arrow, the two he wrote?
Yes, by Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
Art by Adam Kubrick. I have it right here.
Yeah.
Captain America.
Terry Dodson.
Adam Kubrick. Oh, fuck yes.
But this is all in the same comic, right?
This is all in the same book.
Deadpool Batman, but I'm in now. Yeah. That should be the book.
I actually agree with that. Cap and Wonder Woman by Zdarsky and Terry Dodson.
Yeah.
Right?
What the fuck? Why are these backups?
and then
all of these sound better than Batman and Deadpool.
Not all of them.
So far,
not all of them.
Asterisk. So far, go ahead.
What's the final one, Brooke?
Final one is Jeff the Land Shark and Crypto by Kelly Thompson and Girihiru.
Girihiru.
That sounds like a backup, but bring it on.
Now, hold on.
The insult.
Wait,
That's
not the insult?
To Crypto, the best boy, that Jeff the fucking shit-ass land shark, this fucking scrub.
This coming from a guy who ordered so much Jeff the Land Shark, we can have it on the wall and permanently sell it to every single fucking person that walks in the store.
I spit on every copy when people buy it, okay? This Poochie motherfucker thinks he's gonna come and share the spotlight with the best boy Crypto. Get the fuck out of here, Jeff the Land Shark, you dumb piece of shit. I just can't deal with it. I hate it so much. It makes me angry.
Wait, so wait a minute. Why couldn't the Wonder Woman book be a separate book or the Daredevil Green Arrow? Like,
okay.
what?
Yes, I agree with you, Toby.
Are they going
I want to read
as like a one issue hardcover later on? Because I'll buy that.
I want to
Probably,
read
both of them. Yeah.
the description for the Deadpool Batman to all of you. It's one quick sentence. Wade Wilson has been hired for a job in Gotham City. But will the world's greatest detective help him or destroy him?
No. See, the pitch is all wrong, right? It should have been like, Wade Wilson has been hired to hunt down Slade Wilson and then see what happens. Like, it needs to be a Deathstroke versus Deadpool comic. Fuck that.
That's probably what it is. It's probably like if they want to do it correct, that's how they do it. And Batman just is interrupting the whole thing, saying, "Get this shit out of my city."
Was Deathstroke's name Slade, right? Slade Wilson?
Yeah, it's Slade Wilson. Yeah, no,
Deadpool
Deadpool is
Slade, right? Yes. They
yes.
should have done that. That would have been funny. That wouldn't actually been funny.
No,
tons of fucking jokes that can come from it.
What would be funny is if Batman shows up for one page.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, all of that will just piss me off. The fact that they're doing Green Lantern versus Daredevil as a backup, or
Green Arrow.
The Green Arrow.
Oh, Green Arrow, yeah, or the Wonder Woman one and the Cap. What the actual?
Didn't we talk about this on the last podcast,
No.
Kevin? No. We were like Deathstroke and a Deathstroke Moon Knight crossover would be more interesting than Deadpool and Batman.
Yeah.
Now you got two backups that are sounding way better than the actual book.
I would rather have Deadpool and Plastic Man. Right? I just
that could be
I can't
fun.
find that.
Wait, hold on. Are the backups gonna get their own variant covers?
Yep.
Fucking assholes!
Yeah, they already showed them.
Toby's got like 6 copies ordered now.
Oh shit!
Yeah, let's see. According to the solicitation, I already have.
I'm sure there's an art term cover in there too, and an Adam Hughes somewhere.
Toby, will you get the Jeff the Landshark variant?
Maybe.
There's a Virgin Sketch variant, wraparound variant, variant covered by Peach Momoko, variant covered by Scotty Young, Virgin variant covered by Scotty Young, Jeff the Landshark crypto variant,
is it
Daredevil
Batman
Green Arrow
versus Deadpool, or what's the book called? I'm fucking googling this shit.
Deadpool Batman. Ooh, there's a Catwoman Magic variant by Art Germ, a Wolverine Batman variant by Steve McNiven, Insignia mashup variant, and red blank variant cover also available, and more variant covers to be announced.
Of course. There's going to be a million variant covers on these.
This is going to be like a Dynamite
just
book.
Going to be variant covers.
You sure this is not Dynamite, Brock?
Yeah.
Oh, it might be. I'm actually ordering a Dynamite book once it gets transitioned over again.
Okay, I'm sorry. The Crypto Landshark cover is actually kind of cool.
No.
Yeah, that's actually kind of cool.
I
I like it.
I think they should have done crypto with Goose instead.
Wrong.
Oh, dude, the Deadpool. Oh, what the fuck? It says Deadpool Batman on the cover, but it's got Daredevil and Green Arrow. What the actual fuck?
It's so they can sell the omnibus of all the variant covers.
Ryan Stegman, Scotty Young, Archer. Well, why don't they show me the fucking covers though?
They haven't been made publicly available yet.
I'm fucked. I'm fucked, those assholes.
No, you're not fucked. As long as you use Comic Hub to do your ordering, you can order those at initial order or FOC.
No, this is not good. Jesus Christ. This is like fucking Jim Lee Batman Night all over again, where I work for free and fucking dump Ryan's a boatload of money because of fucking all the covers I bought.
Hey, you're going to buy extra the Jeff the Landshark.
Wait, are both versions of the book coming out the same day?
No. The DC one's later in the year.
Oh, man, they figured out how to fucking yank money out of people in this one, you little fucks. Good job. All right, thanks, Marvel. Fuck you. Oh, man, totally getting that Daredevil green arrow. Oh.
Maybe this should just be the podcast from now on.
I
Us just
actually
complaining
thought I
about.
was safe for this. Okay, speaking of Kevin Smith, Mr. Sharp and Brock.
Yes.
So
You
this
guys watched the movie.
is this the official end of the podcast, and this is like a bonus segment?
Let's do it.
Oh, there's going to be lots of bonus on this one because I'm calling out Ryan on a couple things.
So are we going to do the outro and then do it, or are we just...
No, talk.
Okay, he's going to go take a shower.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna go take a nap. I'll come back. Don't worry.
hater.
Yes, Toby, what?
Oh, no.
So you guys, for some reason, decided that you were going to watch Clerks 3
Yes.
after Toby lied to you and told you it was
No,
a good
I
movie.
didn't
Kevin
fucking
Sharp,
lie.
what's your thought about Clerks 3? Oh, I should actually say, hold on, before we do that. Our next 2 episodes should be very special episodes because we will have our Superman conversation and then our Fantastic Four conversation. So look forward to that.
No.
If you
No. Out of all you fucks who are not going to Comic-Con, we can't do fucking Fantastic Four on time.
No, because you'll be back.
Yeah, but how the fuck am I going to watch it?
You're going to watch it there, aren't you?
How? It's probably all sold out at this point, and I'm probably not going to win the raffle if they're doing something like last year.
You're Toby. You'll figure it out.
All right. Mr. Sharp,
Yes.
bring it on. What you think?
Well, okay. Ryan will enjoy this first part. So
Oh, no!
no. Shh, wait, Toby.
Oh,
wait.
Hold on. Also, hold on. So, for those that don't remember, I had a big conversation about Kevin Smith, and Toby was trying to convince everyone that Clerks 3 was actually really
I
good.
didn't convincing you because I know you're an asshole.
No, you were talking about how Clerks 3 was really good, and Kevin and Brock both said they wanted to see it, but just hadn't yet.
Yes.
And they said for the next podcast, we will watch it. We can have a big talk. So this is the talk.
Yes.
Kevin, since you're talking about Kevin Smith, now we can talk about Clerks 3. When did that even come out?
2023.
Yeah.
2023.
You guys finally sat down and watched it. I have not.
Well,
I hope you guys had a great time with it. Well, what do you think?
So, Toby, this was quite a journey.
did you rewatch all of Yasky movies?
No. About the first 15 minutes of this, I was like, Jesus, am I going to have to lie to Toby that I watched this? Because this is unbearable. It was like terrible Clerks karaoke, but with 50-year-old men doing it. It was agony. Then it got interesting. Nobody's going to care about spoilers, so we'll just go free. What is the character's name?
Walter?
The one who has the heart attack. Is that? I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
I can't think of it either.
Not Dante. Randall? Is it Randall?
Randall.
Dante
Randall,
Randall, yeah.
So then it's like, oh, okay, now this is interesting now. This is something different now. And then he starts making the movie and I'm like, okay, this is cute. I'm engaged. I'm engaged in this. And then it's like, Brock, I don't want to step on everything here, so I'll just finish off with this and then you can take over.
No, it's all good.
And then it's like, and then Dante has a heart attack. I'm like, really? So now it's half as dramatic instead of twice as dramatic because you've just repeated the same trick. So then I'm out again. And then finally at the end, I was so overall, it was a journey, Toby. I hated the beginning. I was disappointed in the end, but I liked basically Act 2. That's how I'll say it. Act 2 of 3.
Okay. I expected more out of you, Kevin Sharp, but all right. Brock?
I loved it.
Fuck! Since when? That doesn't work for me, Brock. Damn it!
What? Like I have a distinct memories of my first exposure to Kevin Smith was watching Chasing Amy with a friend of mine at the Oaks Theaters and just really enjoying it, and then searching for Clerks and watching Mallrats. For fuck's sake, my son's named after one of the characters in Mallrats because that's how I stuck a comic book name into getting my son named something related to comic books.
Good man.
Clerks 2, I distinctly kind of remember being
The
yeah, it was just kind of and then Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I watched it and I wasn't too enthused, but I rewatched it and liked it a little bit better. Fucking loved Dogma. So like all of this stuff really kind of resonates with me. Kevin Smith is like up and down, more ups than downs for me. And going into Clerks 3, I was just like, how are they visiting this again? And then I just really enjoyed he just made fun of himself the whole time. Like the whole process of just like, I'm just gonna shoot a movie and make a movie.
I mean,
like
the movie is a little bit meta, a little bit
yeah, a little meta.
Based, I mean, quite a bit on his life, and then he revisits certain things in his life, and then I feel like he bookended it really beautifully.
Yeah, like I really enjoyed how Clerks 3 was. It made me want to go back and watch Clerks 1, watch Clerks 2.
Yes.
I haven't actually watched the animated series. I might have it somewhere. I don't remember.
I'm
but
sure I have it somewhere. I think I have it even signed. What universe is this where the Brock agrees with me?
Toby, I like fucking Jersey Girl.
I
like most people do not like that movie.
No, it's all right.
It had George Carlin.
It had a fucking George Carlin in it. Like
George Carlin is pretty damn awesome.
No, so like I think for the most part, Clerks 3 was just kind of it was a nice visit to to my younger self. Like it was nice to kind of feel that again.
To me, it was like I almost don't want him to play. I mean, look, I'll always take more of you Ask Universe stuff, but to me, actually, it was the perfect send off. Now, knowing he's probably gonna do more, but this wraps up like Dante and Randall for me. Like he doesn't need to go there anymore ever again. Well, for obvious reasons, he can't.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. But I thought this was done so beautifully, and yeah, I really thought that was well done.
No,
I'm curious on the Kevin Sharp journey of this movie, but you know,
I thought, well, Toby, one thing that I thought would have been interesting that the movie didn't do was when he's making the movie, he's basically making the first Clerks, right?
Yes.
I thought it would be interesting to explore what would Clerks look like in 2020 if it had never been made and a 50-year-old man in 2023 was making Clerks for the first time. I thought that would have been a really interesting thing to kind of interrogate and consider. But rather than just because him making Clerks in 2023 would not look like the Clerks from 1994, but yet it did. And that kind of took me out of the movie because it just feels like now we're just playing greatest hits.
Yeah, to me, it was more a bookend thing. But yeah, all right. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I don't know if that would be the same though, because then you're basically asking him to change what happened, and I feel like that's not a view askew thing. Like watching all the other movies, it wouldn't really match his kind of style and what he does. And I think also Toby just has probably a more connection with the third movie because it's basically showing you the movie from the director's point of view, which is basically what Toby wants to do. So it's kind of like an extra bonus behind the scenes, kind of like.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, look, to me, when I first saw the pitch, I was like, he's just like taking his regular life in again, but the way he did it and the way he kind of funneled all the storylines back together and have like a throwback to the original movie, I just thought super well done. So yeah,
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying I think that the fact that it was behind the scenes, kind of like directing stuff, was just like an extra bonus that really draws you in specifically.
I do have a fondness of all those kind of those kind of materials. Like I'm a big fan of Entourage. I'm a big fan of all those kinds of things. I did try to watch that Seth Rogen show on Apple TV Plus, which they lost me sadly in the second episode already. But I'll try and go back into it because I think every episode is different on that show. I do like that material, but for this specifically, I there's something about this movie I really go, holy shit! That was Kevin Smith at his peak of funneling everything back together and having a nice little bookend. Yeah.
And Ryan doesn't give a shit.
No, of course not.
We'll be talking about Superman and Fantastic Four in a couple weeks. Talk about those movies.
Can you believe
Gonna go see those.
that it was only yesterday where we're all like, fucking, they're gonna restart this, James Gunn, blah, blah, this, that, and then we're like, what, 12 days away, 11 days away from the new era of DC movies?
Fingers crossed.
The next 20
Fingers
years,
crossed.
the next 20 to 30 years of our lives are starting in like 11 days.
So I want to say one thing.
That's hopeful, but
I want to say one thing, and I think this. I think this may come out. Ryan, let me know if this is what you were experiencing when you were working over the weekend, or when you put this product out on the sales floor. But you put the McFarlane toys out for the Superman movies,
and we sold out of the Superman.
Yeah, the Lex Luthor though. He comes with a pet kaiju.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on pet kaiju?
Oh, I've already complained on the internet about all this. Yeah, no, there's at least two babies in Superman that really scares me.
Mm-hmm.
I won't. No spoilers for Kevin, who I think is completely off of all.
That's right.
Yeah. But there are. No, you're fine. No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
No. Come back. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil anything.
Yeah.
I have my concerns. I am obviously going to see it. I'm excited, and I'm excited. I am excited.
Well, I mean, I actually no. Never mind. I'm not going to say it because Kevin's here.
No. Here's where I am. It is perfectly fine if these are not my life, right? I do not need the DC movies to be my personality for a decade. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Doom and gloom and I hate everything. I am just
over this. I hope they're good. I hope Fantastic Four is good. I hope every comic movie is good. I hope I enjoy them.
Good? What if it's like everybody loved it but you? Is it good then? Or is it still shit to you?
For the sake of the studio, I hope they're good. Whatever that means. I don't care if I like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right. It's going to be an interesting podcast coming up.
Yeah. No. I am.
He's hopeful.
I'm in an interesting
the S
spot.
Means hope.
Well, I'm in an interesting spot in my fandom. Like just accepting that there's plenty of stuff that's not for me, and that's okay. I do like James Gunn. I do think he's the right person for this. I'm just concerned that what the world wants out of these and what I want out of these are two different things, and that's okay.
So I watched, and I will not give any spoilers, Kevin, so don't worry. I watched a scene, probably by accident.
They've put like the whole movie out at this point.
There's a specific
it's crazy
that made me go, this is going to be rather interesting for Ryan Higgins. So I'm going to be very curious of what you think after the movie.
Yeah, I haven't watched. I've seen a couple trailers and that's it.
Yeah, same.
I've read a couple articles that have talked just about plans, what they want to do in the future. But yeah, I haven't watched any of the full. Any of the extended scenes. I see little clips and bits as I'm scrolling through the internet, but I'm not going out of my way to watch them. But I know I have an idea that this is going to be. I read that big was it Variety? No, it was Entertainment Weekly, right? They did a big piece. I read that full interview.
Yeah, I didn't want to read it.
And it was some stuff that probably doesn't work for me. We'll see.
I'm actually going with my kids. They don't know it yet. It's kind of a surprise for them. I think I'm kind of in your shoes a little, Ryan, in the sense that like this doesn't necessarily need to be a Superman movie for me, but I'm really curious to see if it's a Superman movie for my kids. Like I'm curious to see if it resonates with them. Yeah. Because I've had the experience where I was watching Ms. Marvel and I'm like, I can't but then watching it with my daughter, I enjoyed watching it with my daughter. I mean, the show is okay, but like I enjoyed her enjoyment of it more than my own.
Sure.
And so I'm I'm kind of in the same. I'm you're at one spot and I'm in like on another section, but I kind of feel that like, yeah, if it works and they like it, awesome, and it keeps going, and we still get this stuff. I just hope it hits with something. Like I hope it resonates and makes people like Superman or brings some,
it's tough, right? Because I think we're probably okay with a pretty traditional Superman, and I think the regular audience isn't. Right. I think the general population is kind of, Spider-Man and Batman. I don't expect they're going to deviate too heavy because those do seem to work. I think people are pretty, they like the kind of traditional version of that. Superman is, hasn't aged as well. I don't agree with that, but I think to the general audience, Superman, they tried something a little too dark.
I worry that this is the opposite, but that's my
worry. Yeah. No, me too. Right. Yeah. Superman's a very tough character to write to appeal to people that don't like Superman. Yeah. I think he has a lot of built-in.
Well, I think our part of my commentary with Man of Steel was that in the Snyderverse Superman was. Especially in Man of Steel, I didn't see him capture it. He captured it a little bit later, but not in Man of Steel. Is that when you're watching Superman or you're reading Superman, or the character isn't just Superman. It's also Kal-El and it's also Clark. Like there's a lot of like layers to this character that if you don't mesh them well, it doesn't work for it can really like not hit for some people or hit too much for some people. Like those Snyderverse people are just psycho sometimes. But I think that, all we can do is, go watch and see what the experience is.
Yeah. Yep. That's my plan. So I'm also going to be seeing Destroy All Monsters at the brand new
Mountain View Alamo?
Alamo
Draft House. No, Valley Fair. Yeah.
Oh, you're going to Valley Fair? Wow.
Yeah.
That's the one that got the statue.
Yep, that's one of the big Godzilla thing is. So I got 3 movies: Destroy All Monsters, followed by Superman, followed by
Clerks 3.
Theater?
Yeah.
All at the theater?
No, the others are just there. I at least for now. I mean, I might start going to the Alamo more as time goes on.
You're missing the biggest comic book movie news of all time.
What's that?
I have an Alamo thing after we talk about stuff.
Well, I particularly did not do any comic movie news this podcast because I figure we'll.
Well, the biggest news upon us now.
What's that?
The new Superman has nothing on this. Neither does the new Fantastic Four. Because the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are coming back to the theater August 17th and August 20th, baby. That's the biggest comic book news, movie news.
Is it remastered?
Yes, comic book movie is coming back to the theaters for the 35th anniversary.
It's a little too rough.
No, that's the second one.
You gotta know what a crumpet is to know to know cricket.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the biggest comic book movie news because there's no better comic book movie than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990.
Nice.
I do love that original one.
Yeah, the original one's
no ninja rap though. I don't know.
No, don't need the ninja rap. Don't need it. Do that.
You don't need it. Oh, the ninja rap's incredible.
No.
Oh, what are you talking about?
I hate
oh my god!
Even as a 12-year-old, what are we here?
Go ninja, go ninja, go ninja, go. The lyrics of a genius. Okay, the lyrics of a genius.
No, I wish we got a sequel in the tone of the first one. I do like me some Ernie Reyes Jr. though for the second one, but I wish it was more in the tone of the first one.
Do you like Tokar and Razor?
Oof.
I fucking love TMNT too. I really do.
Well, I do love the movie. Don't get me wrong.
So good.
You just love the wrong things about that movie, you asshole. When they do the 35th anniversary for that movie, I'll totally go watch it too. But
I only saw the third one time. I was okay.
That was okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Is that the time one?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one I have to go back to.
Oh yeah,
ancient Japan,
feudal Japan or something.
Yeah,
It actually had some funny spots in it, but
yeah. It was alright. It was okay. Yeah.
I also think the turtles went uglier and uglier by each movie for some reason. They look like
Yeah.
realistic.
They looked the best on the first one.
Yeah, and then they look cartoonier and cartoonier, and I'm like, that doesn't work for live action. Like,
yeah.
The first one is where it's
and then it turned into Michael Bay.
Those don't even exist. Those.
And then didn't Seth Rogen do the last one? That
actually is not bad. It was actually not bad. I will say he treated it with some heart. It's not my favorite Turtles. It's not. Yeah, but when I rewatched it, I was like, you know what? They did really think about what they did for why they did it. It's not working for me, but it's actually a pretty damn well done movie, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
But speaking of Alamo Drafthouse, there's the Mountain View one.
Yes.
Which, is it open yet?
Yes.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, it's open.
Yeah.
It's open?
Open.
Okay. I actually met the guy named Brandon Lynch. He was training all the cooking staff because he's from Texas, from the original Alamo like stuff. He came into the shop over the weekend when I was working like last weekend. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So him and I talked for a minute about Alamo and stuff. And I brought you up, Toby, saying you introduced me to the Alamo Drafthouse.
Hell yeah.
Years and years ago, talking about all the posters that they did.
Fuck yes. I still spent way too much money on that and still do. They released like this like tumbler and t-shirt for the Godzilla thing. The only one already sold out. Oh fuck, man. That t-shirt and tumbler look actually kind of cool.
Nice.
Not even a big Godzilla fan. I'm like, yeah, I probably should have got those.
But yeah, so that was interesting. I'm like, oh. And for me, what's nice where I live, I could just take the train up to the Alamo Drafthouse, Mountain View.
That's cool.
So I might have to head up there at some point and watch.
No, I have to seriously think about my subscription. I do the AMC thing. The Alamo one is significantly more expensive, but I do like what they do. So yeah. I might have to fork out the extra money to join their club versus keep going to AMC.
Oh man,
yeah.
Kevin, have you been up to the Mountain View one?
Kevin took off.
Oh, he did.
Kevin's done. And just like we're done. We're done with this podcast. Thank you, everyone.
I'm done.
Are we though?
We are.
We're not going to talk about your Hawaiian shirt that you picked up at the Nintendo store?
I mean, that's Geekbox, man. I'll talk about that here. You want to talk about the Nintendo store?
I want to talk about the Retro Gaming Convention where I found my new favorite arcade game of all time.
Talk about it. I'll be right back.
Oh, that's bizarre when I don't have a go back and forth with you, Ryan Higgins, who is totally gone right now, so I'm totally talking to myself.
Went to take another shower.
He does it a lot after he talks to me, so it's all right. No, my favorite new arcade is, I stumbled on it by complete chance. It's called Super Hyper Bishibashi Championships. And it's a game like, if you think of WarioWare as a arcade game, this is what this is. It's a bunch of mini games, and they're all really, really bizarre. And you basically play it, and you have like split seconds to figure out how the game works. And then you just kind of go for it. It's like a 3-player game. You could either do player 1, player 2, and the computer, or you could do player 1 versus computer. So it's basically you're playing against 2 people no matter what. 2 could be the computer, 1 could be another person. And it's basically like mini games where it's in competition for the 3 of you to go against each other. And the games are anything from cake throwing, building a Voltron, putting together a sandwich. Oh man, there's so many of them. It was Now my new goal in life now is to build myself a mini arcade 1-up version of this Hyper Bishibashi Championship game. So yeah.
Okay.
I highly recommend you to YouTube this shit because it's hilarious. Is he back from a shower yet?
Hello?
I think he's back now.
Yeah.
I used the bathroom.
Oh, I thought you were gonna get all the filth off of you again because
No. Are you still talking?
Not anymore.
Dead air?
No,
like 10 minutes of dead air?
No, you came right at the right time. Actually,
Oh, good.
You did that bizarrely well.
No,
I was like,
no.
is he back from his shower yet? And you go, hello.
No, that's literally I just sat down. And you told me about your game.
Dude, it's my new mission in life to build myself a little arcade 1-up size of.
Told you got to talk to our guy Clint.
Yeah,
from
but
the
he
shop.
likes the real shit. Like I don't want a I mean,
nah, he'll build you a MAME cabinet.
No. I wouldn't mind like a candy cab, like a real one of these days. But those fuckers are heavy. I just want to build myself an arcade 1-up style IKEA cabinet of Hyper Bishibashi Championship.
Do you want to just make your own?
Yeah, I think I'll make it my own. I'll just make it in that style, like that size, and that kind of wood and.
Oh no!
That size.
Sorry. I don't mean the cabinet. I mean the game.
No. I want to get the game from the internet, and I'm gonna build a cabinet around this game because this game is so good. I want to have it in my front door, so anybody comes over, we can have a game of Hyper Bishibashi Championship.
Okay.
But if you want to work with me on a fucking crazy WarioWare like game, Lane, I totally will try and do that. But that's a totally different discussion.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to make, I don't think.
Okay. Well, you're the programmer in this. I'll try and come up with funny like mini games, but this one is pretty damn good. Here we are.
Yeah. I love game conventions.
Yeah.
Well, later they're blowing up and we're getting more of them.
There's one coming up in Portland.
Oh yeah. The retro game, the Portland Retro Game Festival.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Yeah. Retro Game Expo. Yeah. That's been around for a long time.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big ones, right? Yeah.
I'm
actually considering going to that. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be great to go.
Yeah, I would couple that with the Astoria trip, so I could go visit the Goonies shit and Short Circuit. Oh, did you know the Short Circuit house is an Airbnb now? You could stay in it.
Oh, really?
I'm totally doing that, man.
You can?
Yeah, dude, it's an Airbnb.
I'm fucking looking this shit up.
Yeah, dude, I'm totally staying at that house, man. Dude, that's like a weird fucking childhood fantasy, like reality. Like, I hope that the robot is there. Maybe that's a little creepy, but we'll see. Stephanie's house, basically. You get to stay in Stephanie's house.
Oh, it is for rent in Astoria.
Yeah. Now, whoever owns the Goonies house, he should make that into an Airbnb, man. I think that will be booked for the next 10 years until people in our generation start dying off.
No, they'd have to make a replica, not the original. It'd get damaged so fast.
Well, the original like had owners that hated the Goonie fans, and then I think they sold it. And the current owners are Goonie fans.
Yeah, but they're from what I saw is like they're making it more like a museum than a rental.
Yeah,
to preserve it.
Well, I totally want to stay in Stephanie's house. Yeah,
nice. All right, it's a wonderful podcast. Thank you, everyone. We're gonna wrap up now. Thank you to Edward.
Gone for a month and he can't even fucking do an outro.
Thank you to Edward at geekyvillain.com and Joe Duff and Kelsey May and Craig Anderson at the Executive Evolution Podcast and Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum Podcast and DDT Wrestling Podcast on YouTube and everyone else that backs us at patreon.com/Comic Conspiracy. If you go to Comic Conspiracy Podcast, you can find all our previous episodes or wherever you get your podcasts. Not Spotify, though. Fuck those guys. Hey, head over to Comics Conspiracy. At least I don't think we're on Spotify. We were, then we weren't. We might not be there anymore. I don't remember.
Their AI bot might have heard us talking about shit about them.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't look into it. Comicsconspiracy.biz is where you can purchase our comic books from us for mail order or pick up at the shop or, whatever. Subscribe through customer.comichub.com. Go to conspiratorBrock.com. That's Brock's blog. Talks about stuff on there every now and again. Our friend Charlie does the Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension podcast talking about Doctor Who. Wild time for Who fans right now. What is the future of Doctor Who? That's a good discussion.
Billy Piper, apparently.
Well, spoilers.
No, that's all over the internet. I got spoiled before Charlie got spoiled. So I got
spoilers, and also maybe not, maybe never.
Well, I got to warn him going, stay off the internet, just keep watching.
Disney Who might be done. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Kevin's interview series called Between the Panels at fanbasepress.com. You can find that there. And A Page I Love, which is a YouTube video series at Comic Art Live on YouTube. Don't forget to check out leannehill.com. My wife Leanne's website. She has all her artwork on there. You can buy prints from her at the comic shop and our website at comicsconspiracy.biz. If you're on Blue Sky, I'm on there talking about the
Red
Sox.
Fucking
too much.
Red Sox all the fucking time.
Dude, it's July. It's almost July. You got like 2,
I gotta go to
3 more months.
October with this shit.
You got no. You definitely
No,
don't
we
have to
don't-
go
we
to
won't make
October.
it that
for
far.
this
It's
shit.
okay.
Oh, thank
Only
God.
September.
Stephanie
Only
House
September.
Christ. Yes. Yes.
You only got 3. You only have 3 more months of this.
Oh, thank God.
Brock is Brock Sager. Toby is Toby XI. Although he didn't use that. Kevin is that Kevin Sharp. And check out and the store is Comics Conspiracy. I post on there occasionally. And Geekbox. We talk about nerdy video gamey stuff on there. We did our Switch 2 launch wrap up talk. Toby was on for that one. I don't know what the hell. Ryan talks about Halloween all the time and horror movies, and he was talking about Final Destination, the new Final Destination movie, and I'm like, I'm never gonna watch any of this stuff. I'm sorry, dude.
You guys didn't cover the Summer Play Fest and all that?
There's nothing on there.
Dude, I'm excited for the Expanse game.
There's a bunch of Nintendo weebs.
I'm excited for that Expanse game that's coming out. Fuck yeah.
I didn't even know there was one. And that's it.
Telltale one. But this is
never. Oh, thank you. And we'll be back in a week or 2 for a new podcast. I'm sure there'll be lots of other Diamond news to talk about. It never seems to end. See you then. Goodbye.